1 minute, please. There. I have switched to the wireless microphone, so I am aware of last week there were some audio issues. I'm not really sure what was going on. I use the same setup that I use every week, but for some reason I didn't have the best audio last week. So I rebooted the computer, but I also took care to move the wireless receiver away from all the computer electronics by about probably a good 18 inches or so. So I am hoping that the audio tonight is better. I know when we started, for just a moment, you heard the fan noise from my computer playing because I was messing with the external or the built-in microphone on the MacBook to see if I could get that to work. The good news is if this isn't working the way we need it to, if the audio is really bad, I do have a backup microphone that I can use. It will have some fan noise in it. It will have some fan noise behind it, but I can switch. So if it gets to be too problematic, if Alicia or Ian or, hey Ian, if Alicia, Ian, or Mary could let me know on the back end, that would be great. That would be great. So everybody's saying sounds good, so I appreciate that. Hello, friends. Happy Friday night. Who has two thumbs, messy hair, and doesn't care? This girl. It has been a long week and I am ready to kick off the weekend with a little bit of sewing. But before we do, I've got some announcements that I just want to go over really quick. So let me get my notes up here in front of me. All right. So first thing, last Friday and Saturday, Holly Quilt Shop used the Bowl Cozy video that I did and led 2 in-person sewing classes using that video. And I wanted to show you guys some of those finished products. However, my technology is not set up yet for screen sharing yet. Hopefully we'll have that back in order by next week. But I am sharing pictures of that on my Facebook page over at Sew Becca or in the Facebook group, and Alicia, Mary, or Ian will throw links for that down in the chat. I'm looking at the microphone. Why am I looking at the microphone? You're here. Whatever. Secondly, I want to let you know that the VIP Zoom email has gone out today. So if you are a member of my VIP program over on my website, sewbecca.com, or your name is in green here because you're receiving YouTube channel perks, know that on Sunday from 2 p.m. to 6 p.m. Eastern time, we will be on Zoom. Now, I'm going to tell you it goes from 2 to 6, but really it goes from 2 to last one out. I don't know how much of that I'd be there for. It is my daughter's 15th birthday on Sunday, so I am planning on spending some time with her, but I'll be popping in to hang out with you guys for a little bit here and there. If you did not get if you are a VIP website member and you didn't get the email, just send me an email at info@sewbecca.com. And if you are a YouTube perks member, we will have that post up for you tomorrow so that you can bookmark that link and be ready to go on Sunday. Mary, try and restart the chat bots for me, please. Zaza said she might actually make this Zoom. That's awesome. For those of you who are not VIP and want to know more, Alicia can drop the link for that for you in the chat, or Mary or Ian. I want to let you know this week I had a video that I released that was a little controversial. So on Wednesday, my Tuesday video was a few hours late, still recovering from all the computer issues that I had a couple of weeks ago. The video that I released this week is 7 quilting regrets that I have, and it has absolutely exceeded my expectations. It's performing really well. If you have not checked that video out, you really ought to because it's amazing. But don't forget that this week, between the 2 Fridays, I also uploaded another video. So for those of you that were interested in Block 10, you're doing the sew along with me for the 2025 Quilt Along, and you missed the Block 10 or thought you missed it because you expected it to be in week number 1, well, the second Saturday, whatever it was, I was delayed by a week and a day because of the computer technology issues and everything going on at work. But that video is live and the pattern is out and the block this month is gorgeous. I love it. So make sure you check that video out too. I want to let everybody know, this is also on my notes list. I have to keep looking down here to make sure I remember what I'm saying. I want to be I want to let everybody know that I am very thankful for everyone who has supported me using my affiliate links and interacted with me on my socials and shared my content and even signed up for the studio sessions that I'm holding in November. As you know, without getting into the politics of it, I don't want to go down that road, but I do want to acknowledge that I am a federal employee. I am working 9 to 5, Monday through Friday, and I am not getting a paycheck. So those little things go a really long way to help supporting my side hustle so that I can bring some money in while I'm waiting for my real paycheck to come in. So, and last thing, I want to close out by saying if you have any questions, comments, concerns, or you want to get a hold of me, the best place to do that is at info@sobecca.com. I spend a bit of time every Saturday morning going through emails and comments and trying to get caught up. So if you send an email tonight, I should be able to reply to it tomorrow. Speaking of tomorrow, for those of you that don't know, maybe you do, I will be on the Stephen Bland, the Idiot Quilter. He's hosting a retreat this weekend, and I will be a guest speaker this weekend, and it is tomorrow on Zoom. And I think the signups are closed for that, but in case they're still open, you could maybe get us on. I don't know. I don't know. You'd have to go over to his channel and find all the information on how to do that. So, okay. I think that's everything. I'm going to put the mouse away and we're going to get started. Are you guys so excited? I'm so excited. Let me bring you up to speed on what we have done thus far. And I did see in the Facebook group that some of you are doing this with me and you've moved ahead. So let's go to the top camera. As a reminder, the pattern that I am working on, I will actually just drop that link in the chat. So it should be there. Just a moment. This is a free pattern from, oh, thank you so much, Susan. You've been here for 10 months. I love that. So this is a pattern, right, that is free from Fat Quarter Shop. It is called Haunted Halloween. Haunted Halloween. I can't talk today. And you can download it by using the link in the chat, the link in the description box, or throughout the video in the live chat. If Alicia or Mary are here, they'll be able to drop that link for you too. As a reminder, I'm doing something a little different. Instead of trying to do a whole quilt or a whole project in every live stream, I'm being a little bit more realistic with this. A live stream is a video where we are hanging out and interacting in real time. So you're seeing the whole process in real time. I'm not editing it. I'm not leaving out any mistakes. I'm not doing any of that. You're seeing the good, the bad, and the ugly from start to finish. And it's really stressful to try to start and finish a quilt in 2 hours every Friday night. I can't do it. So what I've started trying to do is find a project that I want to work on and break it down into 4 or 5 parts, depending on how many Fridays are in that month. And then I can spread it out over the course of the entire month. And so that's what I've done here. It's Halloween. Next week is Halloween. And so I thought it would be great to do a little Halloween table, mini quilt, table topper. This is going to my sister Alicia when it's all done. So my goal is to have this done on Halloween. So the first 4 weeks, we're putting all the elements together. And then next week, we'll be putting all of these pieces together into a mini quilt and maybe even quilting it. We'll see how we get. So for the weeks previously, the first week we did the block. Now week 1 in the pattern does tell you to do the bat and the stars, but in week 1, to break it into 5 weeks, I just did the bat. And I got the polka dot fabric and the bat fabric actually from Ian. So thank you for that, Ian. In week number 2, we did our star units. These are really cute. So I used some scrap that I had of me and my sister Designs pumpkin fabric and this really cute little skeleton fabric. Take a look at how cute he is. It's a skeleton in a party hat. How cute is that? It's awesome. And I also used this orange. It was a scrap from another project that I had done for the star legs on all of those. I really like the way the orange and the purple look together. So those are the star blocks. And then last week I started in week 2 thinking, you know, what would be really fun is if you helped me pick out my fabric. So you helped me pick out the fabric that I was going to use for my kitty cat. This is the block that we did last week, and the black fabric is what you chose. And so at the end of the live stream, when I finished this block up, I asked for input on the fabric I was going to use for the final step, which is the house block. And you guys came through. We're definitely going to pull this purple back in. That's going to be the background. So everywhere you see white on this block, we're going to have the purple. And then I'm going to pull in this black for the window. Nope. Yep. The windows and the doors. I'm going to pull this one in for the roof pitches. And I had another, I found it. I'm actually going to use this orange as the body of the house. So, oh, thank you, Marsha. And by the way, I saw somebody else had done a tip or a super chat in there as well for $5. I didn't catch the name of who that was, but I know Mary and Alicia can grab that for me so I can thank them properly. Okay, I've got all the fabric here. The good news is the purple fabric, I starched all of the yardage when I started working with it, and all of this black is already starched, so I don't need to worry about starching that. But I do need to worry about starching my orange fabric and this black, and I don't really need a whole lot. It says I'm just going to need 3.5 inches by 6.5 inches. So I'm going to cut off a 3.5 inch piece by width of fabric from this so I can save as much as possible. And that's going to allow me to get 3 6.5 inch wide pieces out of it. So I'm going to make it just a little bit bigger. I'll starch it and then I'll size it down. So let's get to cutting our fabric out. Sally says, hello, Becca from West Virginia. Remember, I do love watching and learning from you. I feel like I needed to tell you the West Virginia joke didn't sit with me nicely. I'm sorry, Sally. I'm sorry. I'm just going to go grab my little, where did it go? I'm getting a little warm. This happens in every live stream. I don't know why, but I want the air conditioning blowing on me and not the heat. So just need to turn on the cold air. All right. I pulled an Ian and I rough cut out some fabric. Where's my ruler? I'm so disorganized. All right, I'm going to cut about 4 inches off of this. I'm not worrying about whether it's perfectly straight because I know I'm going to have to square it up. I'm just going to set this aside. And now I'm going to turn on my iron. I'm going to pull this out of the way because I'm going to starch and do all of the pressing right here in front of you so I don't have to go to another table to do it. I'm just going to starch my fat quarter and then that chunk of fabric, and then we'll start cutting everything down. Oh, wow. Thank you so much. Mine sent a $20 tip and said, treat yourself to something special. Love that you give your time to us. I love that you're I love that you're a Fabu celebrity. I'm not a celebrity, but okay. I'll play that way. Oh, man. So this week at work has been fun. Whew, it's the software that I've been working on for the past 14 months, deployed last week, and we have been knee-deep in hypercare, making sure that our users are supported. We're continuing lunch and learns and trainings to make sure that they know how to use the software, all of the things. And it has been, we'll use the word fun. Actually, it has been fun. It has been fun. I love it when I have a project at work that keeps me super busy, but there is a balance to it, right? Like, so you don't want to stay super busy like this all the time, but it's really nice when you have something to look forward to. Oh, Ian, thank you so much for gifting some of those memberships. That's a great way, by the way, if you gift memberships where I get some benefit, but then also the community does too, because it allows you to take part. It allows the person that receives the gift to get the benefits of having 30 days of a membership, but then I get to collect a little bit of that revenue. So thank you. All right, pressy, pressy, pressy. So what else happened this week? Was it a holiday this week? I can't remember. No, that was last week. What else? Oh, I don't know what else happened this week. I feel like it's all gone by so fast. Last weekend on Saturday, I took a good part of the day off to spend some time with my family at the Renaissance Festival. So my daughter brought a friend of hers, and my sister-in-law and her boyfriend went, and my stepdaughter and her boyfriend went, and my stepdaughter's sister went too. Half sister technically, not Jason's daughter. So also, all of you in the chat, give Mama a great big heart. She is in the chat as well. She wasn't feeling so great this week. She's got a little bit of a cold. It's been going around the house. From what I understand, my nephew who lives with them is on his 4th ear infection. And so they are passing the crud back and forth. Make sure to show her a bit of love. So that's pressed. And now I'm going to get, I had it. Why do I had my chunk of that fabric. Where did it go? If you guys see it, can you tell me, is it on my left? Is it on my right? Where is this? The chunk of the fabric that I was going to use for the roof. Remember, I just cut it. Wait, did I see it? I see it. It was under the ruler. I found it. Sally, thank you. She said, you are a wonderful teacher. I appreciate that. I love teaching. All right, so we're going to starch this out. Oh, wow. Jones Family Chaos is going to their Ren Fair this Sunday with their daughter. Awesome. Enjoy. It was funny because when we went, this is the first year where we've not had children that we felt like we had to take care of the entire time. We were like, okay, Zoe's going to be 15. We're going to give her some money. She has her friend. They both have phones. We're going to let them wander around, do what they want to do. And my sister-in-law and her boyfriend wanted to go look at stuff, and the girls with their boyfriends wanted to go drink because that's kind of what they do when they go. Jason and I aren't really big drinkers, and so we were really excited because we wanted to go see all of the different shows. I was excited because I was envisioning going and sitting on those lovely benches, watching shows and just sewing some hexies by hand. I was there for it. Why were we only there for 3 hours? Oh, that's right, because my daughter was done after 3 hours when all of her money was spent. But also, why did I keep getting calls like every 20 minutes from her asking me where I was and if I could come help her with something? So we didn't actually get to do very much on our own. We did get to do a few things. But most of our time was still spent doing the parenting thing. It was not the date night that I had envisioned it to be, which is fine with me. You're only going to have those moments for so long before they don't need you anymore, as evidenced by my husband's oldest daughter, who shows up, and we're lucky if we see her in the crowd. Jacqueline says, I forget what it's like to have a 15-year-old. My children are 35 and 40. Okay, so now I've got all of my fabric starched, and we're going to get to cutting. So I tried to set up my workstation a little bit different so that all of my pressing and all of my cutting can be seen right here in the overhead. So hopefully this will work out a little bit better for you. Thinking through it, I know that I want to have the cutting on this side because this is where I sit in front of, and then the pressing I don't need to sit directly in front of, so I have it on that side. So I'm going to bring my cutting mat back in, and this is just going to hold all my extras over here. And we're going to cut. Let's get to it. Yeah, it is nice to know that she still needs her mom. Okay, so I am going to fold this in half so that the selvages are together, and then in half again. I'm going to use my ruler to cut this at 3.5 inches wide. So what I'm looking for is the fold down here is right on that line on the ruler. And I'm going to sail through all that. Then I will flip it over. It was past the 3.5 inch mark. It was wider than that when I took that first cut. So now the second cut, I'm going to make sure that that edge that I just created is right at 3.5 inches. And this is a good bit that I can use for scrap. So I'm not going to keep these because I'm not glutton for punishment, but I am going to keep that. So I will set this over here. Now I need 3 pieces that are 3.5 inches by 6.5 inches. So I'm going to cut out 3 of those. By the way, I did see Nikolai here, and I just wanted to give him a quick shout out. Hey, Nikolai, I saw you say hi. I'm going to do it this way, just because I don't have enough room that way for the ruler because it's so long. We're going to cut this, so now I have 2. These are going to end up being flying geese units. And then I'm going to come in and cut off 1 more, and then the rest of this will be scrap that I can use in another project. Or put in a scrap bag to give to one of you. Get rid of that. All right, these are my 3 flying geese units. This says it is going to be fabric D, so I'm going to grab one of my Taylor Seville number and letter pins. I'm going to get the letter D and pop that right here in the fabric. Okay. Oh boy. Let's see, what else are we doing? Oh, right, this one. Now we're going to cut all of our orange fabric. I should have cut the background first, but we're just going to keep going the way I have it. We need 1 piece of fabric that is 7.5 by 3.5. So actually, here's what I'm going to do first. I need 4 that are 1.5 by 11.5 inches. And I know, okay, that's salvage to salvage. I want to see if I can get the 11.5. No, I'm not going to be able to. I'm not going to be able to. I'm not going to be able to get 2 11.5s out of this because I just can't. But I could get 1 maybe. Nope. I'm resizing the folds so that I can make sure that from here down to the fold, it's at least 11.5 inches so that I can do all of my cutting from this, right? I'm going to need 4 of them. 4 times 1.5 is 6. So if I cut out a 6-inch by 11.5 inch piece, I should be able to get all of those pieces that I need. So this is what I'm going to do right here. I've got my ruler laid out. Actually, why did I even fold it? I don't even need to fold it. I can just do this. I've got my ruler. It's 8.5 by 12. So I'm going to find that 6-inch mark and the 11.5 inch mark. And I'm just going to cut this chunk out. Like that. And now I'm going to flip it around and clean up those other sides. Whenever I'm cutting fabric out of yardage like this, I always cut it bigger than what's needed, and then I flip it around and square it down. It's a whole lot easier for me than trying to get everything perfectly sized the first time. All right, there we go. Now I'm going to come in and cut off 4. I'm going to subcut this into 4 1.5 inches. And the way I do this, the reason why I feel like I'm faster with a rotary cutter and ruler than anything else is because I always go from left to right. So right now at 6 inches, I need a 1.5 inch piece left. So I'm going to move this over 1.5 inches, which is going to be at 4.5. 6 minus 1.5 is 4.5. And so when I cut here, this piece is now 1.5 inches. I'm going to pick my ruler up, move it over 1.5 inches to 3, put it right on that cut line, and cut. There's 2, and then I'm going to do this one more time. And I am going a little bit slower because I'm showing you, but in real life, I would have had these cut by now. There we go. These are going to be fabric E, it looks like. E. Oh, I still have some up here. As I've been pulling them out in previous weeks, I've been putting them in my pin cushion, and I need to put them back in the bin at some point. All right, so that's fabric E. Let's keep going with the orange fabric. We're going to cut, no, that's F. I'm sorry, this is F. Let me get an F. All right, now we're going to cut fabric E, which is just one 3.5 inch by 7.5 inch piece. Let's see if I can get it out of this square that's over here. 3.5 inches by 7.5 inches. So yeah, I should be able to. So we're going to do 3.5 by 7.5. Okay. I have a bit more waste out of this than I would have liked. Wait, 1, 2, 3. Okay. Whew! I almost thought I cut it wrong. Now that's at 7.5, and it should be 3.5 tall. Perfect. This is going to be my fabric E. The letter pins are great, aren't they, Leanne? They're awesome. And by the way, I still owe you a date in Lancaster. Life's starting to slow down, so soon. Soon, soon, soon. All right, now we're going to do G, and this is going to be 1.5 inch by 6.5 inch. So I know that I can just cut out a 6.5 inch square and get everything out of that I need. So 6.5 by 6.5. Then I'm going to clean it up. Now it's going to be 6 by 6.5. And then I'm going to subcut. I need 4. No, I need 6 of these, so I'm going to have to do more. No, sorry. I need 8 of these, so I needed 2 of those squares. I can't think tonight. All right, let me get this. Hi, Joanne. How are you? There's 1. Normally I would stack up my layers and do multiple. As I cut through this, I would be cutting up to 4, maybe even 6 layers of this. But because I'm talking and teaching and demonstrating more than I am trying to be efficient, I'm not doing this as fast as I normally would. Okay, here are the smaller rectangles. I need 4 more of those, so I'm going to try to get 4 more out of this. Oh, that's going to be just too shy. But there's 1.5 inch by 6.5 inch. We're going to do this. I'll be able to get 3 out of this square, and then I'll have to cut 1 out of that. Measure twice, cut once. Okay. We're going to go from 4.5 less 1.5 gives us 3. And then minus 1.5 from 3 gives us 1.5. Measure once, cut never. Alicia said measure once, swear twice. All right, I'm going to see if I can just get 1 more cut. 1.5 inches by 6.5 inches. Right here. Okay. And then I'll flip that around. Just like that. All right. Okay, these are my fabric G's. unit. All right, now we're going to do H, which is 1.5 inch by 4.5 inch, and I need 6 of those. So 4 is 6 plus another 3 is 9. So if I do a 4.5 inch by 9, yeah, okay, should be good. I'm going to do 4.5 inch by 9. Yeah, 4.5 inch by 9. Sorry, I had to think through it multiple times because that'll let me subcut down everything I'm looking for. So I'm just going to do this. I'm going to turn it around. We're going to go to 4.5. Actually, 4.5 inch by 9. Is that what I said? That's what I said, right? Just make sure. Yep. Wait. Yeah. Okay. Because 1.5 times 6 is 9. If I'm wrong, tell me now, because I'm about to cut. Too late. Okay. Slice through here and there. And away we go. All right, now we're going to subcut this into, this does not, oh, it's because that's this way. Okay, I got it, I got it. All right, 9 minus 1.5 is 7.5. There's 1. Minus 1.5 is 6. There's 2. Minus 1.5 is 4.5. There's 3. Cut it 3. Cut it 1.5. Congratulations on your 45th wedding anniversary. Nice. At least I think that's the anniversary you're celebrating. I should have 6 of these all together, and this is going to be fabric H. So we'll put a pin in here so it's nice and labeled. I want to let you know, guys, by the way, one of the other things that I'm trying to do is more tutorials on small projects. So if you have video ideas you would like to see me consider, or small projects you would like to see me demonstrate, just send that suggestion over to me at info@sewbecca.com. And if it's something I'm excited about doing, maybe we can get that into rotation. All right, now I'm going to cut 2 2-inch squares and then 8 1.5 inch squares. So I don't know why I put this fabric up because I ain't done with it. I can get my 2-inch squares out of this. I only need 2 of them, so I need a 2x4 piece. Okay, now I'll cut this right in half. And this is going to be my fabric eye. Hey, Janine. Gosh, I feel like I owe all these folks hellos. Kate says, Becca, have you always cut your fabric the way you're cutting it now? It works for you, but it seems like a lot more work. I do cut my fabric this way, but when I'm cutting, if I'm cutting fabric for a project and I'm not on camera, I will actually fold and layer things together so I get it more efficient. I'm not cutting one piece at a time. So a lot of times if I were trying to get 6 pieces, I would fold this like that. So there's 6 layers and I would cut out what I need. But you do what works for you. I will tell you, I have cut the same project with Ian and then the same project with Tiffany. And I can be at the same time or after them, and I'm usually finished before they are. I might not be the world's fastest sewer, but I can beat Tiffany in a cutting race any day. All right, now we're going to cut 8 1.5-inch squares. And again, I'm just going to keep going with what I was doing. So I need a 6x6 piece. And I'm just going to subcut this down. All right. Now we're going to cut this into 8 1.5-inch squares. So I'm going to, I think I've got way more fabric than I need here, but I'm going to cut 2 3 inches by whatever that was, 6, I think. And then I'm going to cut that in half again. And now I'm going to subcut this down. Yeah, I had way too much because I only needed 8, not a million. Okay, good talk, good talk. I just need a 3-inch cut out of this. 1.5 inches, right? Yep. There's 4 pieces there all together. And this is fabric J. All right, now we're going to bounce over to our purple fabric, which is our background. We're all done with this orange. This is scrap. I can keep it for later. We're going to pull out this. I need 2 3.5-inch by 5-inch. I think I should be able to get it out of this chunk. So I'm just going to do 3.5 inches by 5 inches. Yep. I've got selvage over here, so I'm just making that a little bit bigger. 3.5 inches by 5. Now I just need to make sure it's 3.5 inches because I didn't even look at that. 3.5 inches. Okay. Save those bits just in case I need them. I needed 2 of these. This is fabric A. And now I'm going to cut 6 3.5-inch squares. Let's see if I can get it out of this. Bye, Kathy. Oh, well, I'm not going to be able to completely get it, but I did get 2 squares out of that. I need 4 more. So let me bring this over. I will do, the next one that I'm going to cut is going to be 4.5 by 1.5. So I'm going to cut a 4.5-inch chunk out of this violet fabric. Maybe a little bit more than that, like a scooch. That way I can get all of my subcutting from this one strip. All right, flip it over, size it down to 4.5. There are 4 layers of fabric on this one, so I should be able to flip it this way. And I know I need this to be 3.5 inches, so I'm going to put this 3.5 inch here. I only need 4 more, so I'm just going to do boom and boom. It'd help if I went through all the layers. And then flip it around and do my 3.5 inch here. And I have all 4 of my extra pieces, and this makes up my fabric B. And then the last one we're going to do is 4 1.5 inch by 4.5 inch. Well, I already know this is 4.5 inches wide. So if I just cut a 1.5 inch chunk off of it, I have all 4 of my pieces. One slice, all 4 cuts. And that's going to be fabric C. All right. Now I just got to do the door and window print, and you guys picked out this lovely black fabric that I used for the kitty cat last week. So we're going to use that. I need one 3.5 inch by 11.5 inch. So I'm going to cut this out right here. 3.5 inch by 11.5 inch, just like that. This is going to be fabric K. And then I need 4 2.5 inches by 6.5 inches. See what I can get out of this. 2.5 inches by 6.5 inches. So we're going to go to 6.5 here. I'll be able to get 3 out of this one. Four and a half by 6.5. So I can subcut this down, and then I'll have to cut one more. Yay, thank you for the tip, Melody. I appreciate it. Coffee time. She wrote coffee time in there. Thank you. All right. Is the audio still holding up good? Is the audio still holding up okay? I just want to make sure the microphones are still behaving. So this is fabric L, but I need one more, and it has to be 6.5 inches. And you can see from this, I just barely have it on this side. I'm like 1/8 of an inch, just a little bit. I'm going to use it because I think that's going to be covered up in the seam allowance. Oh no, I made a boo-boo. I cut these at 1.5 inches by 6.5 inches, and I needed them to be 2.5. So yeah, I did that. Let's try this again. So what is 4? Oh, 10. 10. It's 10. I need a 10 inch by 6.5 inch chunk to get everything I need. 10. 2.5 times 4 is 10. Get over here. Oh yeah. Thank you for letting me know the audio is still sounding good. I appreciate that. There we go. These are all okay. Now I just need to cut these at 2.5 inches. So we're going to do Did you catch what I almost did? Stephen Norma Kaufman said, I liked your video about the 7 quilting tools I'll never buy again. Thank you. 6.5. Okay. 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 Stop second guessing myself. I'm going to cut that at 5. And then I'll put these on top of each other, take a cut at 2.5, and then I'll have all 4 of my pieces. Just like that. Boom, 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 boom. There we go. That is my fabric L. Now I've got all of my fabric, 45 minutes later, cut out. Do I have an L pin in here? Yep, sure do. Right there. Now we can start sewing, which I think this is going to go together a whole lot faster. I think the longest part was probably cutting, not sewing. So we're going to start by going to page 2. It wants us to take our D and B fabrics and make 3 flying geese units. So my D, I already know is this, and my B should be purple because it's the background. It's these. And so here's how I'm going to make my flying geese units. On the wrong side of my B fabric, I'm going to grab a marking utensil, just like this, and I use this one. I need a ruler that's going to be able to go from one corner to the other, because I'm going to draw a line from one corner down to the other. Just like that. I'm going to do that on all these. Oh, Celine, thank you so much for that tip. I appreciate it. Two. I'm going to do this to all 6 pieces so that I can just batch sew at the machine. Maureen says, Blue's Clues. I'll be hearing that all night. Joan says, you sound just like Blue's Clues. That is a secret talent that I have. Blue's good dude, we can too. Bow, 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 bow. Laura says, I was cutting fabric all day today. I had a lot to cut. I'm short on fabric. Maybe I should reevaluate. Maybe I can poverty piece the last couple of units. Maybe. Frank can grow that stuff. There we go. A line drawn without a friction pen. That's right. I am not a fan of the friction pens. Controversial, I know, but I would much prefer to just use the tools that are made for fabric. If I'm going to spend the money in the fabric, I don't want a chance at ruining it with something that wasn't designed to be on fabric. Okay, we're going to take this over to the machine. We're going to go to that 3 camera setup so that you can see everything that I'm doing. Hopefully all of the video feeds are coming in nice and clear. And I'm going to stitch just 1 thread to the right of that line that I just drew. I'm going to do that for all 3 of these. And then I will actually come back over and trim those off, press them underneath the sky fabric for the flying geese, and then I'll do the other side. You know what's different this time? I feel like everybody's names here are their handle names. It's no longer like their display names. And so some of did that just happen? Am I just that slow? Or did it just happen, or has it always been like that for a while? I'm having a hard time putting like the actual name with the user handles. I wonder if that's something that I need to change in my settings. Yeah, no, it was the display name. It wasn't the @ sign. So some of these names, I'm like, oh wait, if I sit and focus on the @ name, I can kind of remember a little bit. Yeah, see? Jean is saying, yep, I'm Nanny J21. See, I thought so. It changed. It changed. Okay, I wasn't crazy. It just happened this week. Shelby said, YouTube is rolling out a change gradually from what it looks like. Oh, great. Whole set of names I'm going to have to get used to. Just when I was starting to recognize some of the names, YouTube throws us for a loop. That's okay. I'm going to put this leader and ender in here. I'm going to turn my iron back on because it turned off. I'll move the pattern out of the way. These pieces that I'm cutting off, I'm actually saving and I'm using them as leaders and enders in my machine. And then I've been keeping them stockpiled in a little bin, and they're half square triangle units that just need to be sized up, squared up, and put into a project. So I'm collecting them for right now, and they're all scraps, sew-offs from things that I've been working on. And I find when I do it, it's easier to stack them like this because I know when I pick this up, I'm picking up just the two. All right, now that I have these, and look, I've got two on one side, one on the other, because I do. So I'm gonna take this over to my pressing surface, and I'm going to push this fabric up and out, and then I'm going to put my hot iron on that to get it to lay flat. And then I'm gonna do the same thing to the other two. Now I'm going to come over and do the same thing to the other side. Right? Mine says, I love that idea. It's a great way to make memories of another quilt. I don't know what I'll do with all of them yet, but I am saving them up. And I feel like I should have just a sit and chat session one night where I just sit here and square those up to whatever size I can get out of it. We'll see how many I do in a couple hours. Patty says, I've been working on an Irish chain using leaders and enders for about a year now, and I'm finally getting ready to put it into a quilt. Awesome. My flying goose units are almost done. And honestly, I feel like most of this is just sewing squares and rectangles together after this. But we'll look at the pattern just to make sure. Mine says, maybe do another silly night with Ian, like when you were bagging the stickers for QuiltCon. That was a great live and I laughed a lot. I've been trying to be a little bit more focused on having guests on my live sporadically so that it's a treat when they're here and not something that we're all expecting all the time. So maybe that would be kind of fun. Next time if I can schedule a live where we're just here and being funny and stuff. Thank you for subscribing, Sandy. All right, there's one of my flying geese units. I like how Deb did her name. She did her first name underscore and then her last name. That's probably why I didn't think it changed, because some of the folks in here, I was like, oh, I remember seeing that name. I've seen it on Hexy, so I recognize that name. But she actually has a username too. She just was able to get her name. All right. There we go. I'm going to look at the pattern and see what will be. Okay, so we're going to make 4 units where we're sewing C onto F. So I'm going to set these aside. I'm going to grab my C's and my F fabrics. Here they are. And I only have 4 of each one. It doesn't really matter which side they're sewn on because these are not directional fabrics. I just need to join them on that 1.5 inch size. Need a water break. Who are we kidding? If I put that there, it's going to spill. Yeah, Janine, that's right. Your name is the same, but with numbers added. All right. Now I'm going to bring these back over to my pressing surface, and it says to press it underneath the orange fabric. So I'm just going to finger press first, and then I'll just put a little bit of heat on there. And I'll set it aside. Underneath the orange, give it a little press, a little bit of heat, set it aside. Nine o'clock, door's locked. All right, here we go. Now, bye Leisha. We're going to take our fabric L, and we're going to take our fabric, what is that, J? Yeah, J. It's the little small, yep. And we're going to snowball each of the two corners on the tall end. So here we go. Now I could, if I wanted to, I could draw the line on the other side of this, on the wrong side of that, but I'm going to try and save a little bit of time. You know what? I should. No, we're not. I'm going to use the diagonal seam tape. So I'm putting the very top point right underneath my needle, and then this corner down here I'm putting on the red line of my diagonal seam tape. And I'm just going to sew. I'm going to do that to all 4 of these pieces. Then I will trim, press up, and do the other side. And then I think after this, it is literally just maybe sewing squares and rectangles. Nope, we got a couple more snowballs to do, but nothing crazy. After these are done, we're going to add a G fabric to either side, and we're going to press underneath that orange fabric. So I'm not going to keep that. It is way too small. I am not glutton for punishment. There was a question in the chat from somebody asking me what is my favorite size ruler from Quilter Select. It is hands down the 8.5 inch by 12 inch because I can use that for just about everything. If you can only afford one ruler, get a utilitarian ruler that can do squaring and most of your cutting for you. All right, now I'm going to press this underneath that orange. go. All right. And now we're going to snowball the other side. Etta says, I really like the fabric you're using for your haunted house. Me too. Yeah, the pen I'm using is the Soline Air Soluble pen. We will trim these and press, and then we'll put our G on either side. The camera angle's working out okay by having the pressing and the cutting all in this one camera angle. You guys like that? Looks good. Shelby said it looks good. Claudia says it looks great. Hey, wait. Oh, I thought I saw the real So Be It quilts. I thought Fallon was here. I haven't talked to her in a minute. I wonder how she's doing. I haven't talked to anybody in a minute. Who am I kidding? If you are not on speed dial on my phone, we probably haven't talked. Looks great, looks great, looks good. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Michelle says she loves the camera angles. Awesome, good, I'm glad. So does Laura. Hey Flo, how are you? Welcome in. All right, now I'm going to take all of these and we're going to sew a G fabric on the left and right side of that, and we're going to press out underneath this G. So let's go do this. Batch sewing some more. Bobby says, I hopped on late because I was driving home from work. Why are there numbers behind my name? Camera angles are good. Ask YouTube, Bobby. I don't know. Apparently they're switching over the live chats and the comments so that you're seeing the username and not the display name. I didn't need to do that. Why did I do that? I didn't need to use the leader and ender because I was just going right into the next piece. Favorite HST method? I find I'm always doing 2 at a time, but there are so many other methods. I just end up doing 2 at a time most of the time. So I forget about the other ones. Oh, Claudia is going to Gatlinburg tomorrow for a few days. Anyone know of any great must-go-to quilt shops? Yep, the Cherry Pit. It's in Pigeon Forge. Good shop. Also, stopping at Buc-ee's is a must. Was on So Yeah earlier today, and there was no number in my screen name. I don't see a number in yours here either. All right. Actually, it's kind of smart that they did this. I'll tell you why. In the world of scammers, it is really easy to just change your display name to be whatever it is you want it to be. And nobody would be any the wiser. And you could also change your profile picture to be whatever you want it to be. And nobody would ever know. But by having the ID displayed on the screen, you have a little bit more confidence that the person behind that comment, behind that screen name is always the same and nobody's really acting like them. So I think for those that have had nasty comments come into the chat and perhaps they're from haters that are just just changing their name or whatever. I don't know. But I guess you hide them. I don't know. Whatever. I have no idea what I'm talking about. I'm just going to press my fabric. But I do think it's a good idea that they're displaying the username instead of the display name. Hello, hello, hello. Coral says, I want to thank you for my win from last week. You're welcome. Chocolate pudding. Becca, what is your favorite disappearing block? The one that I make. I haven't made a disappearing block successfully in a while, but the one that I did make was a disappearing 9-patch for my mom. And I liked the way that turned out. But you can do almost anything as a disappearing block. Really. It doesn't have to be a 4-patch or a 9-patch. You can do a disappearing pinwheel, all sorts of things. All right, now I've got that done. So let's take a look at the pattern, see what they want us to do next. Okay, so we're going to make 2 units with these, where we put an H at the top and an H in the middle. So it's going to look like this. Okay, so we're going to sew over here, do some more batch sewing. Yeah, I think so too, Zaza. Should help to curtail that some. I mean, it'll never stop people from just creating multiple accounts and logging in and doing stuff. That's nefarious, but you're not supposed to be doing that according to YouTube's policy. Tweety Bird 53046 says, what name comes up for me? I'm just checking. It comes up as Tweety Bird 53046. Okay. Can we change it if we want to? Yes, but don't ask me how to do it because I don't have those steps right in front of me. But I'm sure you could search for that on Google and you could pick a different name. But here's why it's smart of what they're doing. The name that you have to pick, it has to be unique. So for instance, I know my handle is @SoBecca. So nobody else on YouTube can have that same name @SoBecca. they would have to change it in some way. Okay, I'm going to just finger press this. I'm going to finger press 2 of them so that I can put them on the bottom. Bottom. And then I'll sew it here. Hello, Melissa. How are you? And now all I have to do is put an orange on the bottom of this, and then the window units will be made. And then I think we're going to make the door unit. Okay, let's give this a good press so it's all nice and flat. Okay, and then we'll do up here too. Melissa says, I'm lurking and finishing the Villa Rosa Lickety Split quilt with Moda Heibu fabric from last year's Shop Hop. Well, we're glad you're here lurking. Get that pressed. Get this pressed here. Get that pressed there. And then we'll press this over. And now I've got my 2 window units. Okay, we will set these aside in my done pile and take a look at the pattern. Nope, just kidding. We're going to keep building these out. So now we're going to take these, we're going to put one on either side of the windows, and then we're going to put our topper, like our little steeple on those. And then it looks like we're going to make the door. Yeah, okay, I'm doing it right. I had to double check. If I've done everything properly, the length of both of these should be exactly the same. All right, now we're going to do the side on the other side. And then one more over here. All right, now we're going to give these a little press. Have a sip of water. Okay. Now we'll come over here. There we go. There's one window unit. Give this one a press. That thread out of there. All right, these are my window units. Now we're going to bring in the steeples. One of them is going to be saved for probably the door. We're just going to put one on each of these units. Where did you get your machine and did you paint it red? Yes, I did. And I actually did a video on my vintage machines because I've got 3 vintage machines. I've got a 1956 Singer Featherweight 221K or 222K or something. And then I have this, which is a 1951 Singer 301. And then on the shelf behind me over there, I have a 1939, nope, hold on, I got it written down here so I can remember, a 1935 99K. All 3 are Singer machines. I have always kind of just loved the look of those vintage machines, but I never really used them until I got the 301. And there's just been no looking back. I absolutely love it. And yes, I did custom paint her. Oh, I ran out of bobbin thread. Would you look at that? Gotta get some bobbin threads. Oh no, this is not good. Not only did I run out of bobbin thread, I ran out of wound bobbins. All right. Guess I'll be winding some bobbins. Yep. Where's the... Give me... Why is the thread weird? Why is it pulling off? Oh, okay. This is weird. It's pulling off the end, and there we go. All right. I'm just going to wind one because if I'm being honest, Ruby needs a good oiling and greasing and a new needle. And usually what I do with my needles is I'll wind X number of bobbins, and when those bobbins run out, then I know it's time to change my needle. Yep, you got it, Janine. You got it. So I'm not going to change the needle tonight, but I am going to just wind one bobbin, and then I'm not going to wind any more until I change the needle. clip. Okay. I also need a drop of oil in the bobbin case. Oh, wait. Well, I had some bobbin, but it was very little. So we'll just set this aside and I'll play with that later. Now I have a full bobbin. Thank you, Darlene. I appreciate it. Okay. Lisa is asking if I like vintage machines better than the modern ones. Yeah, actually I do. Oh, would you look at all the dust bunnies down here? Yeah, we can't leave that, can we? No, let's get some of that out. That's a fire hazard is what that is. Does anybody else get odd satisfaction from seeing all the lint come out of the machine? Because if you do, there you go. All right. Becca, how many bobbins do you do before your needle change? So you can see right here, I've got these bobbin clips from Purple Hobbies, and I keep this little bobbin box. And I think I'm going to email her with a couple of suggestions for this. This is a new item that she's trying out, but I think there's a couple of things that we could do to make this a little bit better. One of the things that I really would like to see is for these to kind of have slots to go into so that they don't slide around, because right now they just all slide around. But I've got 3 clips in here, each with 3 bobbins. I have more bobbins than this, but I just wind 9. I wind those 9, and that's my indicator for when it's time to change my needle. All right, I've got a fresh bobbin in there. I'll put my bobbin box off to the side, and I'm going to sew one of these just to make sure that everything's sewing okay. Come on. You don't sound right. You don't look right either. I really wished I had. Oh, I do. I can use one of these little scraps. I'll grab a, not that. That's a block, not that. This will work. Okay, it's coming out okay. It's threaded right. Let me pull up to the top. And let's try again. That's better. Oh yeah, that's good. Okay. Now, let's resew this flying geese back onto the window. Yep, I wind all the bobbins on the machine. All right. Now we'll give this one a press. Okay, so we've got these 2 window units. Now I'm going to take my fabric K, which is the last piece of black that I have, and snowball it with, is that fabric I? Yeah, these. Yeah, I do have a dedicated bobbin winder. It probably could work with normal machines. I know it could work with my Juki, but it came with my long arm, and so that's what I usually use for the long arm. For for this machine, I just do it here. So the 301 has a spool up here and then a spool holder down here. So you can have a dedicated, you don't have to rethread your machine. You can have a dedicated spool of thread for your bobbin and a dedicated spool of thread for your top stitch, for your top thread. What they need to do is come out with a machine that lets you just directly feed a whole spool of thread right into the bobbin. That's what they need to do. Tell me when they figure that out. I might go back to modern machines if they do that. But then I wouldn't have my indicator to change my needle. Are you going to finish that tonight? Yes. I'm almost done. I will finish the block, but not the quilt, no. All right, and then on top of this, we are probably going to put that flying geese unit. We're almost done. Nope, we're going to put E first. So E is going to go up here, and then we'll put the flying geese unit. Why have they never done that? Probably, I don't know. I don't know. Like, I would think we would figure out a way to do it, but I'm sure the way the machine works, the thread probably has to be in in uh in there a certain way. You know, that bottle has been in that spot all night. And nobody told me to move it. You should have told me sooner. Oh, maybe when we were doing this, you didn't see it. And now, oh, we're going to put A on either side of the flying geese. Oh my gosh, we're almost done. We just have a few more seams. Okay, and move this over here. Just like that. We're going to sew these 3 units together and then put that top on. So 3 more seams. Okay, make sure we do them the right way, like this. I love how excited you sounded when you said we were almost done. Well, that's because I am excited. It's almost done. Two more seams. Mary says, I came into my quilt studio tonight thinking I was going to work on rearranging my shelves, but I plopped down on the floor and I haven't done a single thing. Oh, the struggle's real, isn't it, Mary? The struggle is real. I saw the thing in the upper corner of my screen where the comments are that said top fans. And for some reason, I read it as OnlyFans. I was like, I'm not on OnlyFans. That'd be a whole different kind of live stream. One more seam, guys. One more seam. I'm just going to finger press this so I can be done sooner rather than later. Press it in towards the middle here. Now I've got this bad boy. One seam. One seam to finish it all. Get lined up. Thank you. And there we have our finished house block. Ta-da! Let me take you to this camera so you can see. Ta-da! It is not finished, but it is finished. It is not perfect, but it is finished. And so I'm not going to starch it or do any of the squaring or trimming up of this here, because to be completely honest with you, I want a bigger surface to do that. There's a couple areas where the edges probably just need to be tidied up a little bit, but I want to give it a nice good starch press before I do that. So I have got all of my components for this quilt. Let me remind you what we're going to have when this is all put together. This is what the quilt will look like when it's all put together, of course, in my own fabrics. So next week, we are going to cut out all of the pieces to put this together, and then we're going to sew the units together. And if we're done with that in enough time, then we might actually get to basting it and maybe even quilting it here on my domestic machine. But we'll see. We'll see what next week brings us, because who knows what's going to happen in the course of a week. I might put it together and then decide it's time to just square up some half square triangle units. You never know. But you know what I do know? I know I'm going to drink some more of that water, and I'm going to end the live stream, and I'm going to take my booty over to my Xbox and play some Fortnite. So thank you, friends, so much for hanging out with me. I love that you join me every Friday night here in my sewing room. Don't forget to subscribe if you're not already subscribed. Give me a thumbs up, and come on back next week when we put this whole little mini quilt together. I can't wait to see what it looks like. Bye, friends. It's not doing the thing. It's not doing the thing. It's supposed to do the thing. Okay, I'll do the thing. Where is it? There it is.